Hello everyone, my name is Gary Zlobinski and this is lesson 2 of the complimentary Python introductory course. So in this lesson we will be learning about variables. So you can look at a variable as like a box that stores something, stores some kind of a value, and the box has a name. You can call the name, and when you call the name it returns what's inside the box. And you could use this box anywhere in the computer program. You can put a value, an object in a box, by setting it equal to a value. And you can take that stuff in the box by calling the name of the box as said before. And variables can be changed and manipulated. So you could change the name of a box, or you could change the value inside of a box. For example, let's write this example into our kernels. Name equals Bob in quotation marks. So if we go into our kernels, we can delete this line. We can write name is equal to Bob. Now, whenever we call on name, as you can see, whenever run, no code is shown. The only thing that happens is the value is stored inside the box. You're not calling the box yet. To call the box, you would write the name of the box. So then when you write name, you return the value inside of the box. So as you can see in this example, we have 3 boxes. We have name, is human, and age. The name stores a string value, basically a value inside 2 quotation marks, which we will learn about soon. And then isHuman box holds a true value, which is a Boolean. The Booleans hold values of only true or false. And then the age stores a value of 35, which is an integer. If we had another box that showed how many haystacks you have, then you could theoretically have 10.5 haystacks. And that 10.5 is not an integer anymore, it's a float. A float is a number with a decimal point after it. So the first variable type is a string. And this variable that we created holds a certain data type. In this case, it holds a string data type. It can be made by creating a variable and with the value having a quotation marks at the beginning and the end of the string. It is essentially text. It could be a line of text, or it could be a line, or it could be a word, or it could be a letter. It could even be a number or a float if it's in quotation marks. All these values right here, 1, 2, 3, the string, this string right here, they're all strings because they have quotation marks around the values. Strings are the first of the 4 main data types, which include integers, booleans, floats, and as well as strings. And all the variable types of integer and floats is basically they are numbers, and floats are numbers with decimal points after them. You can create or declare an integer variable by creating a variable, assigning it to a number with no decimal point after it. That's to create an integer. For example, a equals 1, b equals 2, c equals this number, as long as it has no decimal point and any number after that. Floats are integers with decimal points after them. So 123 would be an integer, but 123.0 and 5.322 would both be floats. You would declare floats the same way as other variables, by creating a name and assigning it a value. For example, if you had a float 1 and setting that equal to the 234 point any number after that, or say another variable and then another value right after that. And the last important data type is a Boolean. A Boolean is a very important data type. It can be set to either a true or false value. And these are very important when creating if statements, which we will learn later. They're also important when making a loop. We will learn this later, but for example, until this value is true, something happens. When it is set to false inside the loop stops. We will learn that later. All variables in Python start with the name of the variable and then the value, which is a Boolean case would be true or false. These must be capitalized to be Boolean values. Lowercase, Python will give you an error. It doesn't recognize lowercase Boolean values. Example declarations would be Boolean number 1 equals true and Boolean equals false. They don't have quotation marks around them to be Boolean. And there are also other data types, but those are more abstract. There are many more data types in Python that can be created with libraries or are inbuilt, such as longs, data frames, files, lists. We will learn about these later on, but so far the 4 most important ones were named here. Lists are also very, very important, but we will learn those later on as they are more complicated. How to find out what a variable type is? Well, all you need for this is the name of the variable. To find out the type of variable, we can type and then the variable name or value into the kernel. Let's try this. Let's name a couple different variables. We'll remove this and we could say age for Bob is 32. we could say male equals true. We could say haystacks equals 10.5. And now when we type this, we write type, parentheses, and then the name of the variable. So to get the name of the first one, Bob, we would write type of name, and this should return type str, which is short for string. As you can see, it returns string. Now, we could also add another code block in the kernel, or another block of code to save this output for viewing. And here we could do type of age. It saves all the variables from the previous code. And then when we do this, it shows an integer. And we could also do type of male, and this should return bool, bool for boolean. And then we also had the last one, type of haystacks, which should be a float because it has a period right after it, or a decimal point. As you can see, float. Now moving on. For manipulating variables. Variables are able to be manipulated or changed. You can change a variable type and value by calling the variable name and setting it equal to a new variable. For example, name used to be equal to Bob, but you could set it to 1, 2, 3, 4, changing the type to an integer and changing the value to 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of Bob. And now the last part of variables for this lesson is having variables inside of other variables. You are able to place a variable inside of another variable, which when called returns the value of the inside variable. For example, if you set name2 equal to name, then when you call name2, you get Bob, or the value of name. We can try this right now on our Kaggle kernel. So we set name2 equal to name, and then when we call name2, we get a result of Bob. And name is also equal to Bob, so if we write that right under it, it shows Bob as well. So our Kaggle kernel only accepts if we print to have multiple lines of code. So if we write this is a print statement, which allows us to print anything inside. If we write print with a name inside, we print the value of the name, or the integer or boolean. So as you can see, print with parentheses around it. We run, we have two Bobs. Both of them are equal to each other. So that is it for the lesson 2 of our introductory lesson series. Thank you very much for watching. Please visit evolvecoding.com to register if you like this content or to ask us any questions through our message down below. Thank you very much for listening and have a nice day.